Need a reminder of the good in the world? How about ways that you can make a difference, all while following your passions? Then you've come to the right place. Here on Be the Good with Kate, I have the honor of speaking with people from across the globe and such a wide array of backgrounds, all with the common bond of following what lights them up while making the world a better place along the way. My name is Kate Chericello Tente, and I am so grateful you are here. If something in this episode resonates with you, please reach out. I absolutely love hearing from you. And if you're willing to spread the word, sharing these good news moments with others, a share on social, comment, review, or a text to a friend about Be the Good with Kate, all goes such a long way. Thank you. I've learned so much from all the guests on Be the Good with Kate over the years, and I hope you leave here with some nuggets that stay with you too. Here's to making the world a better place in any way, shape, or form. Today on Be the Good with Kate, I'm really happy to introduce you to Dan Burnett. He was connected to me by someone else who was one of the very first guests ever on this show, Lily Kirshner, back when I didn't know what was going to happen with it. And here we are, probably about 150 episodes later. So very excited. Dan is in Wisconsin, and he's the Director of Talent Development for QPS Employment Group. But what I'm really excited to focus on today is intentionality and choosing a life of joy. And those were words that Dan included when he was reaching out to me about the podcast. And Dan, if it's okay with you, I really would love to hone in on this. So I want to hear a little bit about your background and how you came to be where you are now. And because everything you've done, I saw just, looking through your resume, it all really includes the teaching and the leadership. So share with us how you got to where you are today, and then we'll really dive into all these nuggets of wisdom.
Sure, be happy to. And first and foremost, thank you for the invitation to be on your podcast. I really appreciate it.
So welcome.
So, it's kind of a interesting journey. I think I went to college to be a teacher. I have an elementary education degree. This was, 30 years ago or so now to date myself, and decided at the time that that wasn't what I was called to do. And I was nearing graduation and felt like I didn't want to be a teacher, and graduated and hit the job market looking for anything that a recent grad could do, and looking for a job outside of the field that I had a degree in. And my first real job, as I like to call it, out of college, I worked for an organization that helped administer the Welfare to Work program here in southeastern Wisconsin. And part of my job was to meet with employers in the community and negotiate agreements with them to hire the parents, the moms and dads who are on welfare to get into the workforce. And that was kind of a sales centric job, which is not in my strength. I'm not built for sales, and I didn't do real well at that job, Kate, to be honest with you.
I don't think I would have done very well at that job either. Sales is not my thing.
But what I learned, so the other part of my job was we did workshops for the parents on things like resume writing skills or interviewing skills, or how to get jobs, how to keep jobs. And it was I guess that opened my eyes to this world of what I'll call adult education. I was like, wow, I can do some of those things that I was trained on in school, and that I felt like I had an interest in, but in a completely different environment and for a completely different purpose. I have a personal value. I get drawn to things that mission work that helps folks to find self-sufficiency and independence and work. And so it's just a nice mix there. And a couple of years later, I got a job for a financial institution doing training for new employees. And, my career journey just continued on from there. So I've been in this training / learning and development space in the workplace for, about 25 years now.
What do you love about it?
First and foremost, I love the opportunity to help people see the potential they have inside of them that they either don't see themselves or don't know how to unlock or don't feel compelled to unlock for whatever reason. So when I can help folks to kind of inspire them to do better, to be better, to help their teams and their organizations grow, that's just so fulfilling to me. And then on more of a kind of a personal note, I would say that the work itself just lends itself to a really nice balance of what I'll call like strategic and organization and planning, project management type of work, but then also a lot of creative outlets, a lot of opportunities to design things, to create things from scratch. And it's a nice mix for me to be creative while also very like planful and strategic at the same time.
I also think it's just really neat how you thought that you were supposed to be, I'll say, going into education for little kids, and then you discovered it was you had the education part, but it was a little bit in a different direction. It was for adults. And I mean, goodness knows there's plenty of tools and just day-to-day things that are exactly the same needs for a 5-year-old as they are for a 25, 35, 45-year-old and so on.
Kate, I like to, you hit the nail on the head. And I like to tease, and don't tell anybody, this is our own little secret here, but I like to tease that what works for the 5-year-olds, it's not that much different than what works for the 25 and the 45 year
Yeah,
olds.
yeah. I have an almost 2-year-old right now, and I'm seeing this every single day. Very much so. Hey, so Dan, I really love how much you're talking about the communication and the learning. And tell me about, I know you have something that you like to refer to as the practice makes purpose. Okay, dive
I
into that.
do.
Share with
Yeah,
us
I'm
about
excited about that. Like, so we've heard this cliche. I'm old enough to have grown up around this cliche of practice makes perfect, and I think we've done well enough now to come to a place in our lives where we've debunked that a little bit, right? That it's not about perfect, and
it.
I like to say practice makes progress, and getting those incremental improvement along the way. But I have a different spin on it that I like to call practice makes purpose. And one of the driving forces in my life is not only for myself but for others to help folks identify what brings them purpose into their lives. And you do have to be intentional about it, and it's not something that's just going to happen automatically. So I have things that when I'm diligent about doing them, it works really well for me. And I have 5 practices that I say if we can get disciplined and get good at doing these every day, we're going to set ourselves up for a life of purpose and meaning.
Nice. So I think that I'm going to make a little infographic to share when I share this episode that has these 5 in it. So
Oh,
I'm going to
great.
make Dan say them for us right now. And then I'll also give you a little post on the Instagram and LinkedIn when this is shared so that you can grab a visual. Because I don't know about you, listener, but I love a visual. So go for it, Dan, and then we can break them down.
All right. So, and they're going to take a little bit of breaking down here. So
Yeah,
the names I have for maybe aren't as self-evident as they could
it's
be. But
okay.
the first one I have is what I call fueling up. And it's the first thing that you do each day to kind of fuel your soul. The second thing is to shine your light. And that's all about your gifts and doing the things that you are good at. And so number 2 is to shine your light every day. Now, the third one is to make someone's day. And oftentimes, very simple, easy things that you can do that could quite literally make someone else's day. And the upshot is there's a kind of a reciprocal effect to that. It'll come back to you. The fourth one I called take inventory. And that's an inventory of things that you have to be grateful for. And then number 5, and this is perhaps my favorite, Kate, I call this find your skip. Find your skip. And I would challenge any of our listeners out there to find anyone who's ever skipped, and I'm talking about the act of skipping without a big smile on your face. I suggest it's impossible to skip with a frown.
I love that so much. And there's a great, you just picture my head with that too. And we're going to go back through them. But first, I just have to ask you, Dan, how did you, or and when did you start to come up with these five? Like, was there a catalyst? How did this happen?
Well, I would say that it started a little bit back in 2017. I published a book. It's called I Am CXO, Now What? CXO stands for Chief Experience Officer. So it's kind of a play on how we here in the corporate world have jobs like a CEO or a CFO. So this idea of being the person that is in charge, right? The chief of the experiences that other people have with you. So kind of put my thoughts out on that in the form of a job description for a CXO, and and then from there, I've just really been, continuing to kind of evolve and iterate on my thoughts around how, because my suggestion was is if you create positive experiences for others, again, that can help you. There's that reciprocal impact there to have a life that's full of purpose and meaning. So it's really just been a way to, I guess, keep that idea fresh and new and relevant. And for me, more than anyone, by the way, like I want to be very clear in saying I am not the expert on doing this well or doing this right all the time. So I create these little things oftentimes as a way for me as a reminder, as kind of a mantra for how I aspire to live my life. And if it resonates with somebody else, then even better.
It's some really great points that we have to highlight here. So what you just said about not being the expert and that you need to incorporate it every day too. Heck, I feel the same way. I have a whole show about inspiring people and going with your passion, and I absolutely struggle with it too. So it really is a great reminder that whatever we're doing in life or whatever we're trying, is a lot of times it comes up with health and fitness too. It's like just keep moving forward. It's not always going to be easy, even when it logically makes sense in our brains, or even if we are called the expert on it, it still can be a struggle. So thank you for saying that. That's an important reminder for us all. And the other part was that reciprocal aspect. It's so true. And there's so many studies now, thank goodness, that are showing it because I feel like so many things it doesn't really catch on until there's a lot of published data on it. And then we can really say that, yes, helping others, it's the obvious. We are helping others. And there's all this amazingness that goes with that. But we are also then getting that reward to ourselves too. It really does boost our mental health.
Yes.
It really
Yes.
does.
I've seen that time and time again, Kate. And oftentimes if I'm, having a hard day, if I'm struggling with something, if I'm, kind of having an inner fight with something, taking 3 minutes just to send a text message to somebody, letting them know I was thinking about them, letting them know that, something I appreciated about something
Yes.
that they maybe have done. Um, and it's a positive for them, right? They appreciate that message. They appreciate knowing that you're reaching out to them, that you're thinking about them. But boy, that always comes back to me, and sometimes it's just the you know um, the hard to describe or define the feel good that I get from doing it. But oftentimes it's something that comes back in the way of maybe it's a compliment from the other person, or hey, thank you for reaching out to me. You've always been someone that I've admired for this reason or that reason. And again, I don't mean to suggest that in a way where it's like we're hunting for a compliment from somebody else, right? But it's just you put goodness out there, and it comes back to you. I've found in my life, time and time again, that when I'm in the hardest or darkest places in my life, usually it's because I'm focusing too much attention on this guy.
Mm.
And when I can focus more of my attention on others, it makes things better for me.
That's there we go. Clip right there. Clip, post it. That absolutely. It's so true. Even when you look at depression and those sorts of that, though major mental issues and challenges, you see that the more that people get out, that is such a helpful thing, getting out of our body, whether that's just literally walking out the door or interacting with a human, like you just said, sending a text message. That was such a great thought too, of that idea of when we're struggling to just say like, okay, who can I reach out to and send something nice to? Like, what a great idea. You're already giving lots of tangible bits, which I
Oh,
love.
good.
So thank you. And talk about number one. We're kind of skipping around here, but
Sure.
skipping around. It's like number five.
And you're smiling when you do
Oh, didn't
it.
mean to do it, but there we go. Yes. Fuel your soul. I loved that.
Yeah, I think it's natural. We all get caught in that trap. We wake up and first thing in the morning, we grab our phone, we
Mhm.
check social media, we check our work email, whatever it might be. Even just checking the news can be a downer sometimes as the first thing to do in the day,
Absolutely.
and there is a time for all of that.
Hmm.
And my suggestion is first thing when you wake up in the morning, that's the time to feed your soul with positivity.
Yes.
That could be inspirational literature, uplifting quotes.
Yes.
Um, if for me, it's often prayer. Um, but again, it's things that are going to mitigate as much as possible the risks of kind of setting off any kind of a trigger for you or a frustration or a even checking the weather sometimes can be like, oh,
Yeah.
what do you mean it's supposed to rain today? I thought it was supposed to be sunny today. First thing that goes in has got to be things that are nourishing you.
Yeah. I remember years ago listening to a podcast that Oprah did, and she said that I can't tell you anything about the rest of the podcast, but I remember this part has always stuck with me. And it was that she woke up every day, and the first thing she said was, "Thank you." I
Mm,
thought, oh, that is such a great, I like that because it's
mm.
simple. You can take it where you want in terms of interpreting, but it makes an impact, right? That starting the day with a grateful heart concept.
I
So
love that. Yeah.
I love that number one that you have on there. And then shine your light. Yes. Boy, this has come up a bit in recent episodes too. Share about how you came upon putting this one on the list.
So I'm a believer that we all have been given gifts and talents, and not only is that what I believe to be true, I also believe that we were given those gifts, those talents to use and to share. And um, there's going to be again that an uplifting, a joyful impact if you can do things or do a thing at least a day that you're good at. And I'm a believe that's a strengths based type of thinking. For any of your listeners out there that are aware of Clifton Strengths or the Strengths Finder assessment, I'm a big fan of that. But um, and it could be something as you might have a physical talent, whether you're a musician or an artist or an athlete or something, and by all means, it could also be maybe you're someone who is really good at word puzzles and word games and things, and you do one of those to again uplift yourself by quote unquote winning, at that game. It might be interpersonal
Mhm.
skills. Maybe you're someone who's just a really good listener, and you're taking the time each day to ask somebody about what's going on in their lives and listening to that and empathizing with that and restating to them what you've heard and that's another one of those where it's a gift for them and it's a gift for you.
Mm.
Part of the magic of all this, Kate, is you can a lot of times do two or three of these practices at once and
Yes.
kind of be real efficient with your time. But
Yes. Like the shine your light going on to number three, making someone's day. We've talked about that a bit, but then again, that shining your light, being the good listener is making someone else's day. Absolutely.
100% couldn't have said it any better. They don't take a lot of time. They don't take a lot of money.
Yeah.
Um, but they could make someone's day.
Yes. and the gratitude aspect, combining that with the starting your day and the finding your skip. So, finding your skip, please, how did this end up on your list?
Oh my gosh. So I've been on this hunt, right? You experience something that brings you joy, brings you purpose, and it's like you're always on that hunt to find that similar feeling again. And um, I couldn't name the exact time or place when it hit me, but a number of years ago, I just had this realization that gosh, you watch kids out on a playground in the schoolyard or something, and you watch a young one skipping, and they always just have the biggest smile and the grandest joy on their face. It's like, what does that, what does that translate into as an adult, right? I couldn't tell you the last time that I skipped, but if there was something in my life that I could do that I knew there was no way that I could frown while doing it. Um, so I've done some and by the way, this is uh, nothing complicated or sophisticated or anything. If I were to name my number one thing and as trivial as it may sound to some, um, watching the television show Seinfeld. Um, all I need to, 5 minutes of watching Seinfeld. It is impossible for me to maintain a grumpy demeanor. It puts me in my happy place. I cannot watch Seinfeld with a frown. That is one version
Yes.
of my skip. Another one is maybe a little bit closer to the physical activity of a skip, but it's dancing in the kitchen. My wife and I have a regular practice in the morning as we're kind of going through our routine and getting ready for our days. We always have music on in the background, and we'll dance in the kitchen. And
I love that.
it is really hard to dance without a smile on your face.
So true. That is so great. I love that. I wish I had a little video insert of that right now.
I'm glad we don't. At least not of a
Okay.
live feed into my kitchen.
If you say so. I love that so much. I was thinking about, I was going to ask you, I'm going to tell you what I was going to ask you, then I'm going to tell you what I am going to ask you instead. So I
Okay.
was going to ask you how you teach all of these concepts together to your employees and those that you're interacting with. But what I kind of would like to ask instead is how would you teach this in, like, if you're just in passing with someone, almost that like elevator pitch idea, right? If someone wants to just really take this down into a couple sentences, how would you digest that for them?
Well, the first thing, and I think the most important, is the example that we set. And people are always watching, right? They're always observing, and I spend a lot of time in my work with managers and leaders and doing leadership development type of work. And one of the things I always talk with leaders about is your followers are more likely to do what they see you doing, what they observe, than what you are saying, verbally, right? So if I can do these things, if I can um, you know do something I'm good at every day, if I can shine my light, if I can do a little gesture that'll make someone's day, that example I think is um, the first suggestion I'd have for you there, Kate. And then second, I this maybe is not a going to be a popular response, but I'll say it takes time. This isn't something that I don't know that it's a really interesting question that you asked. I don't know that I would be effective at summarizing this in a quote unquote elevator pitch. We could maybe address one of these and and then get to the second one in the next elevator ride. But um,
That right there is a great insight in of itself, right? Not trying to do all five at once if you're just starting out on this journey of choosing this different way of life or looking at things. I really love that you said it like that, because maybe that's what it is. We have to just take one at a time.
Yeah.
And or I really loved how you said that lead by example concept. Let people see it.
We live in a world where we're so inclined to getting things immediately, right?
Yeah,
I can pick up this device here in my hand and hit a couple of buttons, and next thing you know, there's going to be some food that shows up on my desk, right?
sure.
Like everything happens so fast. This I think is we're talking about life and a purpose-filled life. This isn't an instant thing. It's not this is a go a little bit slower maybe to get
Mhm.
the fastest, most profound impact. And also I think it just creates a little bit of a, it allows you to um, give yourself a little bit of a breather to be able to say, I don't have to do all of this at once.
Mm.
I don't have to be great at all five of them. I'm gonna maybe start out by being okay at one of them, and then build from there, and give yourself that permission,
Yeah.
because I think that'll add to the stickiness of it all in the long run.
That was a really, really wonderful response. And I didn't have any idea where the answer was going to go, but I started thinking about that. Like, how do you bring this to larger groups or quick interactions? And you hit, like you said to me earlier, hit the nail on the head. Well, I'm right back at you with this, was that
Thank
the
you.
learning by observing and the taking it one step at a time. That's so great. And that goes for however we want to reshape our thinking, our mindset, I have a lot of fitness background. This comes up all the time, right? Of the not trying to do everything, but taking one piece each way. And anything in life that we're trying to build on or learn or grow with, that's what it comes down to. So just amazing all around. And Dan, I have one more thing to ask you before we wrap up and talk about links. What is most surprising to you about where your life is now, today?
Wow. That's you should consider hosting a podcast for a living. You asked some really good questions.
Well, thank you. Honestly,
Um,
this has been one of my favorite questions to ask. I try to sneak
yeah.
this one into each episode because it's so neat to see where everybody's brain goes in a different way here.
I think what surprises me most is how um, the more that you focus on something, the more that thing that you're focusing on just expands and grows and swells. And that can be positive things, that can be negative things. But the older I've gotten, the more mature I've gotten, and the more successful that I've gotten at being able to focus on the positive aspects of my life, the things that I'm grateful for, the things that fill my cup, um, that they've just they've just multiplied. It's been exponential in my life, and I'm so grateful. It's such a good question, and I promise you I'm going to spend some time in my reflection this evening,
Yeah.
thinking more on that.
It's
That
just
was
a
a
cool thing
really,
for us to think about, right? Just
oh
in
my
general.
gosh.
And I've had people say really simple things of like, I'm surprised I live in such and such city, but I've also had people say like, I'm surprised I'm in this career period. It's
Yeah.
interesting.
Um,
Now this will all be in the show notes too, but tell everybody where they can find you online to connect and then also to find your book, I Am CXO.
yeah, so probably the easiest way to connect with me, there's a website, Dan-Burnett, and you can find my link there for LinkedIn. You can also find information about my book if you want to check that out, and or you could connect with me through that site as well.
Excellent. And that will be again in the notes for sure. Dan, this has been such an enjoyable conversation. Thanks so much for chatting with me today.
The feeling is mutual, Kate. Thank you so much.
You know what? I feel like you fueled my soul by chatting today. You shined your light, and I hope the listeners are doing the same. So go out, make someone's day, find your skip, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in. If you found this helpful, a 5-star review, like, or comment means the world to me. And if you found insight in this episode, chances are someone else will too. Share with a friend to give them a boost today. Until next time, I'm Kate Chiaratelli-Tente, and this was Be the Good with Kate.